Hi everyone, welcome to this video where I'm going to be looking through the Simple Harmonic Motion required practical for A-level physics. This comes up on most exam boards and it's got two parts. One is to do with a pendulum, one is to do with oscillating spring system. We're going to look at both in turn, look at the method, look at what errors could occur, how you get your results. So let's start off with our pendulum. So the aim of this practical is to use different lengths of a pendulum oscillating to obtain a value for acceleration due to gravity. We have a setup a bit like this. We have the top of a piece of string clamped in place, ideally in a clamp stand with a clamp on the end with two pieces of wood or cork to make sure it oscillates at an accurate point so you can measure it accurately, the length between the center of the bob and where the string starts. You also need a fiducial marker, which sounds fancy, but it's basically just a pin or a piece of blue tack or something like that that's very small and it sticks upwards to allow you to measure the oscillations. So the method of this practical sounds a bit like this. We're going to adjust the length of the pendulum initially to be about a meter or something similar, so that's the distance from the point of suspension to the center of mass of the pendulum bob. Then what we're going to do is pull the pendulum to one side and then we're going to allow it to swing. Now the pendulum needs to be at a small amplitude so that a small angle approximation is obeyed for this equation we're going to look at later to work. We're going to start the stopwatch when the bob passes the fiducial marker and we're going to time 10 complete oscillations. That means 10 times, it means it goes actually 20 times past the marker. Then what we're going to do is divide that by 10 and then we're going to repeat a couple of times to find a mean so we have the value for the time period of one oscillation. Then we're going to vary L by decreasing it by 10 centimeters, or you could do 5 centimeters if you wanted to, but you want at least 7 or 8 different values to enable you to plot a nice accurate graph to find out what G is overall. Speaking of the graph, that's where we come to the equation. This is on your equation sheet. The time period of one swing of a simple pendulum is equal to 2 pi times by square root of the length divided by acceleration due to gravity. Now we're going to expand this out a little bit so we can figure out what to plot because we want to find G. That's currently in a big square root. So how do we find it? So we square both sides. So we have t squared equals 4 pi squared times by L over G. And then we're going to rearrange slightly so that L is on the left-hand side. So we have t squared over L is equal to 4 pi squared over G. The reason we're doing that is because everything on the right hand side of our equation now is a constant. Pi is a constant, G is a constant, which we're trying to find. So if we plot t squared and L on the y and x axis respectively, that will give us the gradient if we find the y over the L, and the gradient then would equal 4 pi squared over G. To find G, we then just switch its places with the gradient, so we use 4 pi squared divided by the gradient of that graph gives us the acceleration due to gravity, which we should obviously expect to be 9.81. To plot error bars on here, you might want to plot error bars on the y-axis. If you have a range of values of your time period, which you should do, you can then work out the uncertainty and plot those as error bars. And then you make sure we double it for the uncertainty in t because it's t squared. To find out the overall uncertainty in our gradient, then we would draw a line of worst fit on. So the percentage uncertainty in our gradient is going to be equal to the gradient of the line of best fit minus if we're drawing a line of worst fit that still goes through the error bars but is considerably steeper or shallower than our original line of best fit. We would do the best minus the worst, make it positive, make it modulus, and divide it by the gradient of the line of best fit. That will give us our percentage uncertainty in our gradient, which is going to give our percentage uncertainty in G. So in terms of this practical, there's a few different errors and things we've got to consider when we're considering how to do the practical. Let's go back to that fiducial marker idea. The reason we have the fiducial marker at the center of the swing is because that's where the pendulum is traveling fastest. That sounds like counterintuitive. We want it traveling fastest there, so it's easy for your eye to see where it passes the point so that you can start or stop counting from there. If you do it from the end, the pendulum spends a comparatively longer amount of time at the end, at the top of its swing, so that it's actually harder to tell. Obviously, we want to do 10 complete oscillations or 20 perhaps to make sure the accuracy is as high as we can and also to reduce the percentage uncertainty by taking the value over a wider or longer amount of time. We're also going to want to do for our pendulum setup, use a nice heavy bob that's designed to reduce air resistance or reduce the effect of air resistance as much as possible. Compare it to doing with the ping pong ball example, that wouldn't be a suitable pendulum to use for this experiment. Also use a light string so that doesn't add to the mass of the pendulum overall, so we can assume the mass is at the end in the bob. We're going to try and displace it with a small amplitude. We said at a lower than 10 degrees. The reason for that is because this equation here relies on something called the small angle approximation. Otherwise, we can't use it. So otherwise, we could have that probably not working. We also have a chance of the string not being straight and sort of buckling or wobbling basically in midair if you do a too high an amplitude. Parallax error is also a concern here when you're measuring the time period. You want to make sure the person measuring is exactly in line with the fiducial marker to make sure you're measuring it accurately. And also we could use data loggers to do this practical to make it even more accurate than just using a human eye, although usually this practical does lead to reasonable results that are close to 9.81 for the acceleration due to gravity. Part 2 of this practical is where we ditch the pendulum and we have an oscillating spring system instead. The aim of this practical, instead of finding G, is to find a value for the spring constant of the spring that we're using, given by K. We're also going to need to verify that at the end. I'll explain at the end of the practical how we do that. So we're going to start off with just the hanger by itself, because the hanger has a mass usually the same as the mass hangers themselves. And we're going to have to add a fiducial marker similar to the pendulum that's going to be in the middle of the oscillation of the spring. So basically halfway between its minimum amplitude in one direction and the other direction overall. So the method would look something similar. We'd say first we'll pull the mass hanger downwards with no masses, just the hanger vertically with a small amplitude, and then we're going to release. Then we start the stop clock when the masses go through the fiducial marker or fiducial point, same as with the pendulum. Then we're going to stop after 10 complete oscillations. So one oscillation being down and then back to where it started from. Then we're going to divide by 10 and then repeat and take a mean to find T, the overall time period for our oscillations. Then what we're going to do is add masses to the hanger, about 100 grams or 0.1 kilograms at a time, and repeat for about 7 to 8 masses to make sure we've got enough to plot a graph. Now our equation for the time period of an oscillating spring is equal to 2 pi times by the square root of the mass divided by the spring constant. If we expand everything out a little bit, we have a similar to last time, T squared equals 4 pi squared times by m over k. And the same as before, we want all the constants on the right hand side. So we have T squared over m on the left hand side equals 4 pi squared over k. Now if we plot a graph of m on the x-axis, t squared on the y-axis, that means our gradient t squared over m is going to give us 4 pi squared over k. That means to find k, I would just need to do 4 pi squared divided by the gradient overall of our graph. Now, how do we verify the spring constant that we've just calculated? How do we check that it's reasonable, check how accurate it is? Well, you might remember from GCSE, there's an experiment called Hooke's Law practical, which we can use to calculate K. And that's by basically varying the force on a spring and measuring its extension. So you'd have to do that practical again. It's quite a quick practical. And if you plot the graph like this, the spring constant is equal to the gradient of that graph. And then you go back comparing those two answers. So what about errors in this practical? Similar to the pendulum practical, we want to do 10 complete oscillations for accuracy and to reduce percentage uncertainty. We also want to make sure the fiducial marker is at the point of the highest velocity, so it gives us the most accurate measurement of time period. We're also going to want small amplitude here, not like the pendulum where the equation depends on it, but it's just to ensure the oscillations are vertical. If you pull down the springs by quite a lot, it's quite likely to bounce from side to side to go diagonally. And if that does happen, you want to restart and go again, because that means that it's not going in a straight line. It's not going to be equal to the whole time period. You're also going to have parallax error, which is if you're not at eye level to the fiducial marker, it makes it less accurate to measure the time period overall. Unlike the pendulum practical, where there's not too many concerns with safety other than just clamping the clamp in place, we're dealing with relatively heavy masses here. That's another reason why we'd want to use a small amplitude of oscillations to make sure it doesn't bounce around and make sure the masses don't come off the spring. So we're not going to use too heavy masses either, no more than 1 kilogram. We're going to make sure we clamp or counterweight the clamp stand in place also. We could also talk about doing it in the middle of the table, the oscillations, so they don't fall on the floor, fall on people's feet. So that will be the main risk and the main hazard for this practical would be the masses. And there we have it. That's the required practical for simple harmonic motion. I hope you found that useful. Please leave a like if you did, and I'll see you around for the next video. Bye for now.